One Brenda's room. I was over at my neighbor Brenda's house for the afternoon as I do once a month because I was only 9 and mother preferred. I wasn't alone by myself. I didn't mind because Brenda was sort of polite to me even though she was a year older. However, she usually preferred us to go our separate ways, so she usually played by herself all alone in her room while I ended in a world by myself with a toy train set in the basement. It was just a normal sunny August day about 2 weeks before school was starting again. In fact, it was such a normal day that I could not have dreamed that anything so life-changing was going to happen today. Fate rarely gives us foresight. I barely noticed Brenda watching the TV as I went past the living room on the way to the washroom, which was at the back of the first floor. She didn't like anyone talking while her shows are on, so I didn't even say hello and continued unnoticed into the bathroom. Upon entering, I noticed that the other door was almost all the way open. This door was always kept closed, so I assumed it was just for towels and stuff. Now it turns out that this was the type of washroom that had 2 doors, one for the hallway and one into Brenda's room. It was like a walk-in washroom, but also one shared with guests. Naturally, I went to close the extra door, but as I got closer it seemed to be so bright on the other side. The light came through her window to illuminate all the pink, making me just a bit more than curious, begging me that I might like to look in. Rescuing my panties, I intended to peek in for just a second because I just wanted to see how a girl's room was different than a boy's room. I had been in my parents' bedroom, which was all organized. But this was so different because Brenda was near my age, plus even though she was a tomboy, her mother dressed her as a frilly girl. The open door was like an invitation that asked, "Why don't you come in?" And in another second it was too late because I was already inside. The femininity was totally amazing, clean and polished as a new pin. It just made me feel lucky just to be there, even though there was nothing unimaginable, lots of pink, lots of dolls, and lots of books. Her open closet had tons of pretty dresses, her vanity was stacked with even more dolls, and a night table with a pink ballerina lamp. Then beside the vanity my eye caught sight of what looked to be a package of clothes half sticking out of the pink plastic wicker trash bin. I moved in for a closer look and saw that it was a package of panties with pink Hello Kitty faces. Why would she be throwing clothes away? I took a closer look and noticed the package was unopened. Now, since they were already thrown away, it wouldn't matter if I opened the package just to have a look, would it? No, of course not, I said to myself, unreasonably justifying my actions. I opened the package, then realized what I had done. I could not put them back or people could see that I was playing with them, so I put the panties back into the package and put the whole thing into my pocket. I was really nervous for the next 10 minutes until I got to go home. Luckily, no one noticed. I wear my panties. No one mentioned anything, but I was still edgy for a week and even a bit the second week. Then I adopted them for myself, but it was a while before the next chance I could be alone to try them on. Months ago I had taken out my bottom drawer too far and it fell out. I had noticed that there was a dirty space under it. Now after I cleaned up that space, it was a perfect hiding place for what I considered more valuable than gold. I had to wait another week, then I was home alone on a Saturday afternoon. I could barely wait until Mother finally left for shopping. However, I did not trust she would not come back, so I waited an extra 15 minutes. Ultimately, I dug the panties out of my hiding place and put all 5 of them into my top drawer. Then I put on my pajamas and got into bed. I only closed my eyes for as long as I could hold my breath. Then I popped out of bed and got dressed after first changing into my new panties. I selected the purple ones because I wanted them to be fancier than the white ones and I wanted to save the pink ones for later. My panties were a very light shade of purple that I learned later was called lavender. They couldn't be seen under my jeans, but still I only had them on for a half hour and got so panicky on thinking the door would open any minute that I could not keep them on any longer. I changed back and hid them all away. I thought about them every day for another 2 weeks as they were truly being absorbed into my life. Then on a Friday just after supper, my parents told me they would be away for the evening. They were just playing cards at the neighbors, so they didn't get me a babysitter. That meant I would be alone and able to use this opportunity to dig my panties out of hiding. I got excited because I may not have another chance for a month. In the time it took for them to leave, I made up a reason for changing. This time it would be coming out of the bath, so I would need fresh underwear. However, Mother put down the panties that she accidentally bought me instead of my regular ones. Again, you can see I have to justify my actions, and it didn't matter how improbable because I only had to convince myself. This was quite ingenious, especially at the spur of the moment, I thought to myself as I was filling the tub and setting out fresh clothes that included my white panties this time. I did not want to leave any hint that I took a bath by leaving it dirty, so I jumped into the tub for only a minute, then used 2 beach towels to dry off before I used a regular towel. I folded and hid the beach towels back at the bottom of the towels so no one would be the wiser. After the first half hour, I was still excited and kept them on for a second and even a third half hour. Then, not wanting to be discovered and losing my treasures, I decided to change. But as I went to my room, I decided to keep them slightly longer, and instead of using my pajamas as the excuse to change again, I put my pajamas over top of my panties. Then I checked in the full-length mirror in Mother's closet door. I saw nothing that even hinted I was wearing underwear. For a night in my panties, it was getting close to my bedtime, so I climbed into my bed while pretending I was sent to bed in my panties. I pretended to fuss that I was sent to bed. As I was pretending to fall asleep, I actually fell asleep until I heard them coming into the house. But now I was trapped and could not explain why I was wearing a girl's panties, and I would have to admit that I stole them from Brenda and maybe even have to go and apologize to her. How could I explain to her that a girl took her panties to wear them? How could I explain that girl was me? I just lay there while not making even a bit of noise. I listened carefully to them getting a snack and then later getting ready for bed. I was kind of pretending I was a girl wearing her nightgown, hoping I would dream about that. Again, I fell asleep, but this time it was morning when I woke up. I woke up very fast because I remembered I was wearing the panties. However, it was too fast to recall my dreams or even know if I did dream. This made me a little sad, but I was wearing panties and that made me happy again. But that didn't last as long as I hoped, because now I got very perplexed that I could not take off my pajama bottoms because Mother could walk in any second and see my panties. I decided to switch my pajamas bottoms to jeans under my bed covers. It was sort of awkward, but it was safe. My panties would be safer under my jeans than under my pajamas, so I was only half worried anyone would see them. But just as I was about to leave my room, Mother called from behind my door saying she would be gone until after lunch. Then I decided that I would change my panties and wear my second pair of white panties under my jeans until after lunch. I took them with me and changed in the bathroom. I got so busy doing other things that I essentially forgot I was wearing panties until I was sitting eating supper. Then I could not think of a plausible excuse to go change my underwear. But as supper kept continuing, I realized that no one had noticed, so I kept it up and continued to wear them until bedtime. 5. My pretend nightgown I changed into one of the pink pairs and put on my pajama top, but not my pajama bottoms, so it would be like a shorty nightgown. It was so exciting that I hardly got to sleep. And again in the morning I slept in extra so I could lay in my shorty nightgown again for a while. When I finally got up, I put away my panties so I would not use them all up. 3 weeks later I was alone long enough to wash them out, and I hung them up in my closet to dry out. It was not wash day, so Mother would not be going into my closet, but I still watched very carefully in case I had to make a quick dash to beat her back to my room. After that I became more daring and wore my white panties most Saturdays and then also on Sundays. That was exhilarating, plus the washing out and drying them in my closet was also exciting. A few times it got too exciting, but every time it was thankfully a false alarm. For Halloween, Brenda went as a nurse and I went as a cowboy. I really wanted to go as a pretty nurse also so I could wear a dress and all the rest. However, I did not trust that anyone would approve, especially if I wore it again after Halloween. The cowboy costume was good enough this year, but watch out next year. I kept up just wearing the panties for almost 2 months, then mid-November I forgot and wore the panties to Brenda's house, but she did not notice. She had never even mentioned that once her panties went missing. Imagine wearing Brenda's panties to Brenda's house right in front of Brenda's nose. I knew Brenda would have preferred to be a tomboy, but her mother was very domineering and demanded that she be her mother's girl. So here I am wearing pretty panties to their house and loving it while she couldn't care less about trivial things like underwear. 6. I steal more panties. This incident encouraged me to repeat this, and I ended up wearing them there 2 or 3 times a month. And after another 3 months I even wore my pink panties over there. Plus, when I knew she was watching TV, I would look-see and sometimes even go into her bedroom. Then luck happened again and I saw Brenda got 11 packages of new panties. They were all packs of 7 for the days of the week. I went crazy jealous and decided she wouldn't miss one pack. I picked it up and stuffed it in my back pocket. A half hour later they weren't discovered missing, so I took 2 more packs, and if I was caught, I was going to explain that it was a joke. They were practically burning holes in my pockets for another hour before I nervously took them home and dared not open them in case I had to sneak them back. Later, even though it was too late to turn back, I still decided that the joke idea would not be a good because it meant I had gone into Brenda's room. I did not hear anything for a few days, then I hear that Brenda had a sleepover party and several girls had been sick so they could not attend. Then I realized that they were probably prizes or gift bags or something, but since there were fewer girls than Brenda planned, no one got upset because there were still as many gifts as there were girls. 7. I am a thief. Now realize that I am officially a thief because there was no way I could take these back without them being noticed. There was no way I could not be a thief. There was no way that I could ever explain to anyone that I had a reason. No one would believe the motivation to wear them was not as perverted as it sounded. Her mother might call my parents, who would then ask me if I knew anything about Brenda missing some clothes. I would be too nervous, it would be so obvious I was lying. I could pretend it was a dare, but then I might have to say who dared me. When I could not produce a name, they would know I was lying again. Then my whole family and eventually my whole school would find out. Result, I would be teased every day for my whole life. 8. I repent. I decided this was worse than anything I have ever done before. Stealing is wrong, even though I got away with it. The first panties were discarded, but now I had to pay dearly for these in ways I could only imagine. In fact, my imagination went wild thinking how bad and possibly even worse than bad it could be. There would be a chance I could get away, but for how long? Mother might find them and force me to tell her where I stole them from. She might even make me take them back to Brenda's house and apologize to her mother and to her. Result, she would tease me every day for my whole life. I resolved that it wasn't right to steal because it is morally wrong, even though I was more afraid of something worse. It might give me the karma to be caught either now or later. No, stealing is wrong and I am stuck because it was too late to take them back now. 9. Paying karma. Karma is what that I learned from hearing about chain letters, where you have to give something and then later you will get even more back. I never got a chain letter, but I thought they were a cool idea. The nature of karma is sort of similar, where you do a favor and get 2 back, or do a wrong and get worse back. I certainly did not want to fight this supernatural force. Remorsefully, I did not throw the panties out because I figured I deserved any punishment that fate had in store. I did not open them, not even to look at them, just in case I had to apologetically return them to Brenda. It would be unexplainably worse if they were opened. I couldn't stop thinking about them for 2 weeks, and then I had a heart-stopping epiphany, except it wasn't one really. It felt like it was similar to one because it was the answer to my problem, simple, direct, secretive, and karma-satisfying like an epiphany should be. 10 paying Brenda. The next time I went to Brenda's house, I anonymously left Brenda the money for all 3 packages in change that I put into her piggy bank. Now I reckoned that fate would let me keep my new purchased panties, and I left it at that. Result: fate would now judge. I finally dared open one of the packages when I got home. However, for self-punishment as a bonus to help my karma score, I did not wear them for a whole week. Every day I left the pair I would have loved wearing under my pillow and left them there all day. Eventually, I released myself and let myself become a girl again. Sunday evening I practiced girly handwriting while wearing my regular panties. I wrote "I love wearing pretty clothes" 200 times. I signed every one with the name Penny. Monday morning I wore the Monday pair to school. It was so great that I could do something so feminine and not have anyone complain. Monday evening I threw out half of the boy underwear and then a pair or 2 every week until they were all gone a month later. From then on I exclusively wore frilly girls' panties all the time, partly because I didn't have a choice but mostly because I wanted to. I was still very careful while changing. 11 paying Mother. It was strange, but Mother never noticed that I never put any underwear in the wash. I figured that if she got suspicious there was no underwear, then she might suspect I wasn't wearing any at all. Then she would start checking me every day. I concluded the best way would be to start washing my own clothes. This in itself was suspicious to her, but since it was to her benefit, she just took note that I did wash once a week and wasn't leaving anything to smell up for weeks. I always did all my own washing, including my panties, every week. Mother didn't realize that this was now my girly chore and I was becoming more girly. I seemed to fight other chores and especially boy chores. She just thought I am growing up and I want to look especially nice to impress girls. She had caught me once practicing kissing a girl's photograph and pretended that she didn't see. We had a clothes dryer, but I really wanted to put my panties on a clothesline like Brenda's mother had. Then the neighbors may ask, "Who is the princess staying at your house with the pretty pink panties?" It was way too early in life to introduce my parents to the girl sharing my room, considering that they may ask her to move out, and I certainly could not have that. I thought about using Brenda's clothesline when they were away because they had no neighbors on the other side. But I thought my parents may suspect something. I wanted to dare when I knew my parents would be away for a few hours, but then I was still too chicken to hang my lingerie in public. 12. I buy myself a nightgown. It made me mad that I missed that opportunity. Not like Halloween, when I choose purposely not to be a girl character even though I would have gotten to wear a nurse uniform or other dress. I did make a plan to use next Halloween to help satisfy my feminine cravings. I had 3 months to save up my money and find an occasion where I was able to look at one of Brenda's nightgowns to find the tag and get the size. I figured I better get one size bigger since I won't get another chance to buy another for a long time. I went to a second-hand store and picked out 2. The knee-length one was white, fairly plain with a little bit of ruffle, and the floor-length one was pink with ribbons and lace. I strode up to the counter like I owned the place. I told the lady that my young sister is going as Cinderella and Mother is going to keep her candy to buy her a doll instead. My brother and I get all her candy if we go as the ugly stepsisters. I continue, plus since I am the one daring to come in here I get first choice. He gets stuck with the pretty pink princess one, haha. That long-winded explanation seemed plausible enough that the lady did not take offense with me buying the 2 nightgowns. Either that or she was just too bored to care. I really tried to hush down my excitement enough to make it out of the store without the lady getting suspicious. I was wearing panties every day for almost 2 years, and now I also got to sleep in a nightgown every night. I even bought myself a pink poodle pajama dog at the second-hand store, but I waited until there was a different sales lady. I was too scared to put it on my bed in case I was found out. I was secretly becoming more of a girl since I started this exploration 2 years earlier. Ever since that first day, I would make a fuss whenever I got my hair cut, so it was left a little longer every time. No one even realized how feminine I was becoming, but I sure did, and I loved it. 13. I need new panties. It was time I got new panties since mine were almost 2 years old and getting really tight. So I had to get more panties, but I could not get past having to explain to the sales lady that they were for me. So I decided to scope them out without looking like I was the least bit interested. I waited until it was a busy day, then pretended I was waiting for my mother while she shopped for my sister. There were often 2 shoppers and sometimes 3, but just in case they knew that each other did not have me for a son, I had waited until there was a day that 4 women were shopping. I had to pretend I was really bored, but I did not want to appear be too bored that I was a bother, and they asked to speak to my mother, who was not even there. I wandered around the children's section of Sears looking at everything while looking like I was not looking at anything. I avoided all the ladies as much as I could while hunting my treasure. I previously looked at the size number on mine and just figured I should have a larger number. Now, armed with that educated guess, I looked for the frilliest pair with the bigger number. I went back and forth through the whole department, and every time I ended up in the panties area, I would check out the size of at least one package. 14. I buy myself panties. When no one was looking, I picked up 3 new packages of my favorite 7 days a week panties and took them to the cashier. I paid, asking her to hurry so I could go get my ice cream for being so helpful. That seemed to relax her, and she did hurry and even said, "Enjoy your ice cream for being such a good helper." I got away with it. I actually bought my own frilly panties that I could now wear every day and even to school, like I did for the last year and a half with my sleepover panties. And now, with 3 packages of 7, I could wait to wash them an extra week by wearing my older ones if I did not get any easy opportunity. I had planned to buy 5 packs of panties, but they cost double what I expected. Luckily, I had checked the price before going to the checkout. When I got home, I immediately started saving up to pay Brenda's bank the extra for the panties I bought from her since I had not paid enough. I wrote up a contract to wear the panties and attached the receipt. I used my most girly handwriting with little hearts and everything, plus I had signed Penny as I had practiced all the previous year. Result, I was on top of the world. 15. Brenda's new swimsuit. Then next morning I was so happy wearing my new contract panties. About an hour later I saw what Brenda went out to suntan. She was more of a tomboy last year, and she wore a 1-piece pink bathing suit with a tiny skirt that of course her mother really liked. She would have preferred trunks and a t-shirt. You couldn't have paid her to suntan last year. She was much less of a tomboy this year, especially in her new 2-piece bathing suit as she lay suntanning in her backyard. It wasn't so much that she got such a hot suit and I just had old trunks. It was that it called attention to her boobs, while trying not to be that obvious. She started wearing bras 2 years ago when she was 10, but she only ever wore them when it was mandatory. She much preferred the girl undershirts called vests. I struck it from my mind as something that I could never ever have, so I totally avoided the subject. Now she was almost 12 years old and had grown-up size boobs, small but still bigger than any of the girls in my class. She wore a 2-piece suit like the grown-up girls, and almost every day after that she was sun-tanning. Even her marvelous tan lines made me jealous. This made me realize it was time for me to grow up as well. I understood very early on that I really like wearing girl clothes even if I never have a girl's shape. And part of growing up for a girl is getting to wear bras. I decide I better buy a bra before it gets past when I should have already developed. 16 I decide I need a bra. Now that I think about Brenda wearing a bra all day long, I get so jealous I could barely stand it. I could see the faint outline under her blouse, I could see the bulge of the hook behind her back, and I could see when she reached through her shirt to adjust it. Every time I wished that would be me with my own bra holding my own girl-shaped breasts. Every time I saw one of her bras hanging on the line, I studied the shape and tried to imagine the feel. I also calculated that she wore it for 2 or 3 days before changing it. I snuck into her room several times before I saw one and could get a look at the size. I wanted to try it on but figured she may never forgive me. A boy my age should not be wondering about girl clothes and looking at this stuff, but I guess to me it's nothing. The fact is that I have an infliction for wearing girl clothes. And, yes, I do wear girly clothes as often as I can, although I cannot explain the appeal to a boy. I might as well be honest about it, I like my girl side perhaps too much. I've come to realize now that this will never go away by itself. Now I even had such a hunger for my own bra. Do you know what it feels like to have something so close to your grasp and not be able to wear it? Do you know that agony? I decided to see if I could possibly do something. I made it my mission to change this situation, but fast. Yes, now my goal in life is to get and wear my own bra. I even rationalized that if I wore a bra that I'd feel more grown up and would probably act more grown up too. 17 planning to get my own bra. This was going to be a lot harder than buying myself the panties. Girls get to ask their mothers, who would of course understand completely. I couldn't ask my mother because she just wouldn't understand at all. She would get so upset that she would even make me get my hair cut really short, and that had to be out of the question. I could take one of Brenda's bras or wait until she got a package of new ones, but this would be way too perverse even if I did pay for them. No amount of money would keep her from getting upset if she caught me. Result, she would tell her mother, who would kill me along with my own mother. I had to buy my own, but I could not pretend to be a bored boy. I would have to be a girl buying one for herself. I thought about it, and that was the only solution, so I started studying Brenda and other girls. The more I observed people, the more I figured that the lady would be sure to be extra nice to a little girl buying her very first bra. To the lady, that would mean talking to her customer a lot. I would have to practice what I would say, plus think about any questions I may be asked, especially if the sales lady was nosy. I had to figure a way to pretend to be upset with talking to the lady, and all I could come up with would be to be shy. But then I could not be too shy that the lady would want to call my home. A mother would buy her one, so it would have to be a father who did not want the hassle of buying her one. Now I was a shy girl that was sent by her father to buy herself her own bra. I thought about him sending a note with her, but she would be too embarrassed to show it to anyone. I then made up a friend that was a girl who just started wearing one herself, but unfortunately she was sick today. My friend would have a mother, so she would know all about bras. However, since I didn't know anything, I could not even pretend I had a sick friend. Perhaps I could get some sympathy if I was friendless. I made the exact date for my adventure day, Friday, August 25th, and to give me the courage of the World War II invasion on D-Day, I called mine B-Day. I chose this date so I would have plenty of time to prepare. There was a bit of physical preparing and tons of mental preparing, so much more than other girls need for their first bra. In addition, girls would get their first bras at the start of the holidays so they could get used to them by the time school started. I would get mine at the last possible date so it would be less likely any girls would be there. It might be noticed that I did not do this properly, but I decided to take the chance. Later, it worked out perfect when I decided to be a tomboy because it is the sort of thing one would expect from a tomboy. This late date also had the procrastination advantage. Choosing the Friday before school starts would force me to go or give up forever, and I just could not have that. Penny would never forgive me if she had to stay looking like a young girl with a grown-up boy's body. 18 girls' hair. I will have to borrow a dress and pumps to wear plus a purse to carry. All girls have shoulder length or even longer hair, so I would be like a boy playing dress up with my short hair. The only possibility would be to wear a girl's long hair wig. Even Halloween wigs wouldn't be good enough to fool anybody, so I have to find a girl with a real wig, then find a way to borrow it. No girl I knew or ever heard of ever had a wig. I couldn't even borrow some girl's mother's wig because it would be too old-fashioned and especially too big. Since a wig was impossible, I would have to wear a hat. Older ladies wear hats, but I am supposed to be a very young girl. I would be like a freak, especially because I don't talk like a girl, walk like a girl, or even act like a girl. Except for school, I haven't been around girls to really know how. I could not even count on Brenda because she didn't talk like a girl, walk like a girl, or even act like a girl either, since she was a tomboy. 19 Penny the tomboy. Then I got the notion that all girls didn't have long hair because I have seen some tomboy girls with much shorter hair. Most, like Brenda, did have long hair, but a few radical ones did have shorter hair. A tomboy girl with short hair would be much less a curiosity than a young girl wearing a hat, especially in the summer heat. I could be a rough girl like a tomboy who did not even want to buy herself a bra, but she had to. A tomboy would have more reasons for not coming in earlier to get herself a bra. Plus, people would take less notice of me leaving the house since tomboys look almost the same as boys. A tomboy could have jeans that look like boy jeans and a shirt that looks like boys' clothes, but she might not have that many shoes, so the ones she would be wearing would be feminine, well, at least somewhat feminine. Now I did not have enough money to buy myself shoes as well as my other little treasures, so I would have to borrow a pair of Brenda's shoes for a few hours. I had already been observing all of her clothes for quite some time, so I knew she had a pair of lace-up black shoes. They had a girl's 3/4-inch hard heel. I would have loved to wear her kitten heel pumps, but a tomboy would not want to wear them. And socks. I also needed a pair of feminine socks like cable knit or something. They would have to be a light pastel color or at least white. Luckily, I did not have to match a same color purse because girls who are tomboy do not always carry one, so I figured it would be okay for me to not have a purse. 20 girls' hair. I would still have to do something with my hair. Not much, but something so that it did not look so much like a boy style. A bow or hairband would be too girly for a tomboy. Even a barrette would be too much. My hair was not girl long, but it was close to tomboy length. However, a girl would still get her hair cut at beauty parlor even if she was a tomboy. My hair was way too short, but if I could give it even a hint of style, maybe enough to confuse the lady. I will have to curl my hair like Mother did on Saturdays. But to be sure I got away with it, I would have to do it so carefully that no one would notice. I planned my outing on a Friday so it would be less crowded, and this gave me plenty of time to return the curlers I borrowed from Mother. Brenda had curlers also, but that would be much harder to do, especially since I would have to wear them overnight to be sure my hair was completely dry. Brenda's mother did have a hooded portable hairdryer, but there would be no reason I could think of borrowing it. Even if I could, it would be very hard to explain to Brenda or her mother when I brought it back with my long hair all curled up like a girl's. It was fun to think about talking to Brenda and thanking her for borrowing her hairdryer. It was especially fun to think about doing it with obviously curled hair like a girl's. I even decided to do it for real, but not for another few years when I will be more daring and my girly hair was past my shoulders. 21 Practice. Next was the decision whether to practice curling my hair, because if I was caught it would mean the end to everything. I could not look like it was my first try or the lady might get suspicious and call home. The fact I would be using lotion made it much more critical. I decided this was the proper thing to do because I had to be sure. I was stopped because Mother got a permanent at the beauty parlor. Not that so much, but that she put her curlers away and I could not find them. I thought about buying a set for myself, but I wanted to spend it on lingerie. I would have to buy my own. Let's see, there were curlers of various sizes, bobby pins, curler pins, lotion, and a hair scarf to buy. I checked out the prices, then figured I could wait until the last week before spending all that money. The curlers came back a week before my adventure. However, I didn't get a chance to practice curling my hair. I decided that I should not wear any makeup because tomboys don't like to wear things that make them look feminine. This saved my purchasing young girl style makeup because my mother's makeup was lady style and not suitable for an 11-year-old. It also saved me from having to practice because even though I wanted to, there would be a chance that I wouldn't get it all off completely. My plans would immediately be terminated if I distressed my mother like that. 22. Preparing. Any tomboy wouldn't ever use makeup, but they may have pierced ears, and I could have pierced ears myself. It was mentioned in an article in a Betty and Veronica comic book I read about a year ago. The author explained that she got the idea to glue things on her ears to look like pierced earring studs with clear fingernail polish. I found it fairly easy to buy the nail polish. I just went to 3 drugstores and looked at the full name on the clear. Then I went home and in my frilly girl handwriting I wrote down the name. I just took the paper to a 4th drugstore and asked the lady. She had me rung up and out of the store in about 3 minutes. There was only one possible day I take the whole thing very seriously and started preparing for my role. Since I decided not to use regular or even my clear nail polish, I just let them get too long. My parents usually complain because my nails are often too long for a boy. But for a week I hid them because I let them get even longer. It was so exciting thinking about it, so much danger and so much reward. I just had to remember the whole fairy tale all so perfectly. Therefore, because I was a girl, I had to buy myself a girl's pink diary which I could use to share all my wonderful secrets. Wednesday, August 23rd. Dear Diary, I love you so much. We are going to be such good friends forever and ever. I am going to keep your secrets and you are going to keep mine. Please forgive me if I do not know the etiquette of talking to you correctly. But I am too excited, so I just have to blurt out that I just have to tell you that tomorrow we are going to take an adventure together to buy me a bra. It is going to be the utmost greatest day of my life and I am going to share everything with you. First, I have to tell you about everything that has happened already. It was about 2 years ago when I encountered a girl who started sharing my room. She was very shy, so I had to be quite patient with her as I tried to help her in every way. At first it was interesting to learn about girls, then it became fun to guide myself to be a girl, and now it is essential I become a girl. For the last 2 years I have forced myself to wear panties every day. Now Penny has to start growing up, or at least appear to be growing up. I am stuck with a body that is not as feminine as I would like. Nonetheless, I have determined that Penny needs a bra to be like other girls. I will just be a little kid if I don't get a bra. Penny isn't going to have a boy roommate forever. And I may never have girl boobs, but I still need that bra to feel like a woman. I may have to put Kleenex under my bra, but I am determined that I will have one. I am going to help Penny buy that bra, and this is my journal. Thursday, August 24th, buying my first bra. Dear Diary, let me tell you about my shoes. At 3:30 p.m., I go into Brenda's room and find my shoes. Well, they are not exactly my shoes since they belong to Brenda. But I figure since she won't be wearing them to school, she won't mind me borrowing them. Well, again, that is not exactly true, but I sort of justify it since they are just shoes after all. And again, that is not exactly true. Dear diary, you are sure making me work for my supper. They are girl shoes that are boyish enough that they would not be noticed on a boy going downtown. They are plain enough that a tomboy might wear them, and they are girlish enough that they have a 3/4-inch hard heel so they will look androgynous but sound feminine. I put them beside her bed, then look in her drawers for a pair of cable knit knee-high girl socks. I notice a brand new pair of tights under them as I take the socks out and put them on. The socks are really thick, which makes the shoes really tight. I had previously tested the shoes, but she is wearing the thin socks I used for the test. Dear diary, let me tell you about my tights at 3:40 p.m. I have to think back to the tights. Tights are not near as thick, so the shoes would fit much better, and if I look like a girl whose shoes are too tight, the lady may want to call my home and talk to my mother about that. The other side of the coin is that these are Brenda's tights, and if I opened the package to wear them, then they could never be returned. Even if I paid for them to keep them, she would notice someone was in her room. I just had to let Penny wear them. After all, she was a girl, wasn't she? And a second later I had opened the package of white tights. 2 seconds later I took off my pants and put them on, and next the pants before anyone came in. The shoes fit perfect, and I did feel so much more like a girl with the tights, especially since a boy would never be caught dead in tights. Plus, as I was putting them on, I thought since I was buying a bra anyway, I could also buy a pair of tights and return them before Brenda even noticed. This was such a good solution that I decided to also take her package of pink tights. I was asking for trouble, but Penny was worth it. Dear diary, let me tell you about our wonderful night to come at 4:15 p.m. I am back home and finally have a chance to talk to my new best friend. I am filling you up with absolutely every detail so you can help me remember the most significant day in a girl's life. First, I will explain about everything that we are going to do tonight. Dear diary, let me tell you about tonight's plans. 1. I have to pierce my ears. 2. I have to study my lines. 3. I have to go to the bathroom with my earrings. 4. I have to go back a second time with my nightgown. 5. I have to have a bubble bath. 6. I have to file my long fingernails into sharp ovals. 7. I have to put on my pink nightgown. 8. I have to curl my hair. 9. I have to wear a pink scarf back to my room. 10. I have to go to sleep in my curlers. Dear diary, let me tell you about supper at 5:30 p.m. I was called to supper and everything went normally. My parents had no idea about you, sweet diary, or Penny, or our plans to buy a bra tomorrow. This was our shared secret, like between the best of girlfriends. Tonight was a little bit more than just a secret about tomorrow. Tonight I realized that this was like years before I was eating supper with my parents when I remembered how feminine I am dressed. Last time I was just wearing white panties, and this time I am wearing Brenda's shoes, and more noticeably, her tights. Again, I had gotten away with it and no one noticed my femininity. I had the foresight enough to walk very carefully not to make any noise with my girl shoes when I went back to my room after supper. Dear diary, let me tell you about my earrings. At 6:15 p.m., right after supper, I went to my bedroom and laid out my supplies. I only stared a half a minute because if I dwelled then I may have talked myself out of doing this radical operation which I need to help me force myself to carry out my plan tomorrow. I used clear fingernail polish to glue the 2 pink beads to my ears so they sort of look like studs for pierced ears. Now I am so feminine that I can't let anyone see me without destroying my plans. It is so exciting and frightening at the same time. Dear diary, let me tell you about studying my lines at 6:30 p.m. I studied my earrings and figured that they looked okay. I hope that no one will notice that I do not have any earring posts that all pierced ears have. I admired them while memorizing the lines I made up so I could answer questions if asked. I am also working myself up to go to the washroom, which I needed to do in order to curl my hair. This has the advantage of practicing to bypass the self-preservation instinct of not being found out. Tomorrow I will need all the power I can muster. Dear Diary, let me tell you about my bath at 8 p.m. I listened for a few minutes, then peeked out the door as timid as a mouse. I got so anxious that I decided I could only do this once, so I grabbed my nightgown to take it with me. I figured if I was caught with pink earrings, I might as well get caught with a pink nightgown as well. It was quiet enough to creep along the hall for a few steps. I carefully placed my feet near the walls because I had discovered when I was younger that area was less squeaky. Then I ran in a panic, almost terrified the rest of the way on my tippy toes. I tried so desperately not to make any noise that might get me noticed. Once inside, I immediately locked the door before releasing my pressured nerves and dissolving the horrors of my imagination. It still took 3 whole minutes for my heart to start pounding slower. For some reason I felt awkward for sneaking around because girls shouldn't have to do that sort of thing. Still slightly on edge, I lay out the nightgown and my pink panties. I ran the bath, but only half water pressure so as to have less noise. I did not want to alarm my parents that I was having a bath, which would have surprised them enough to ask me why I was acting so differently than normal. And I especially could not face them with pierced ears. I added a quarter bottle of Barbie bubble bath for kids. I had previously tested the first quarter and it was perfect. Also, I need another bubble bath in the morning and the last to conclude my perfect day. While the tub is filling, I am taking a few minutes to make a few notes so can catch up on our chat later, bosom buddy. I will fill you in completely when I get back to my room. Dear Diary, let me tell you about my bath at 8:15 p.m. I stepped into the tub, but my body was not as girly as I would have liked. Once inside, anything not feminine was hidden under the bubbles. I soaked in the girlish froth for a really long time, then I filed my nails. I have had to hide them over a week so I didn't get complaints because they were an 1/8 inch past my fingers. I filed these extra long nails into sharp oval like almonds. Sharp fingernails or even oval fingernails would have to be hidden in my pockets or clinched until I wanted to look like a girl. It wasn't until later that I realized this was too much because tomboys would want to play sports and short fingernails are better for them. I decided to keep them because maybe no one will even think about tomboys playing sports. Besides, they were so much work to hide all week and they look so nice. I soaked for a little while longer, almost daring my parents to use the bathroom and discover me. I marveled at Penny's courage, so glad that she convinced me to commit myself and to buy a bra. And I really needed to wear my own bra so I could become Penny the girl, the grown-up girl. Dear Diary, let me tell you about my curlers at 9 p.m. I got back on track and put on my panties, then nightgown. Next was the lotion for my hair. Taking the first strand of hair, I take a deep breath, add a curler, use a bobby pin to attach it, then curl it up, and hold it in place with a curler pin. It was so exciting that I have to do another and another. Soon I am sad because my hair is full and I cannot do any more. The sadness dissolved when I took a handheld mirror so I could see the sides and back. There was as girly a head as I ever seen without makeup. It was so great I had to stare for a few minutes, discovering every possible view. I put a pink scarf over the curlers since it would not be that much difference between pink earrings with curlers or my new state using pink earrings with curlers under a pink scarf. I put everything away as not to be discovered and then went tiptoe back to my room. Back in my room, I discovered that I had spent almost an hour and a half in the bathroom. And since I wasn't discovered, this must be a sign tomorrow will be a great day. Dear Diary, let me tell you about going to bed at 9:30 p.m. I lay down in my head full of curlers and I discovered why women like the hood dryers. I had always wanted my own bra, but I was so nervous about this event that I had trouble sleeping in my prickly curlers. They sort of hurt, but that was sort of a good thing because I could feel I was a girl. I wanted to stay awake and feel them all night, but I knew I'd be tired in the morning. If the lady saw anything suspicious, or even me looking drowsy, she might want to call home. Penny said she would curl my hair another time, then she sang me to sleep. I love you, Penny. Friday, August 25th, Dear Diary, I know I am being a pestering nuisance being too picky with all these painstakingly minor accounts, but I need to completely capture every tiny detail to have long-lasting memoirs. Let me thank you in advance for retaining so precisely the greatest day that a girl could dream of. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I woke up at 5:30 a.m. I was so excited to wake up that I forgot if I was dreaming. I wake up and quickly realize this will be the most exciting day of my life. I spend the next hour daydreaming what it will be like. I imagine that a bra is perhaps the most feminine article of clothing, so it was probably inevitable that I would wear a bra in the next year or two even if today went badly. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I got up at 6:30 a.m. After an hour of lying in bed, I couldn't stand it anymore and get up. Good morning, lovable diary. I hope you are ready for the enchanting details about a young girl buying her first bra. Kiss. 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 For next Halloween, I am going to buy lipstick so I can leave you with loving proof how much I adore you. I get up and cautiously go to the bathroom, hoping my parents are still asleep. I have another bubble bath to get me in the mood, but this time I only use less than half water pressure. I take my girl's watch and only spend 15 minutes in the tub this time. I have my pink pretend earrings and my curlers under a pink scarf. If I was caught, then they would find out that the curlers are dry from wearing them all night. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I got dressed at 7 a.m. Back in my bedroom, I open my stash and select the panties I want to wear and slip them on. Next comes the pink tights, which are totally out of character for a tomboy, but I could pretend my other ones were in the wash. I put on my jeans and shirt, which were conservative for a boy and for a tomboy. I put on Brenda's small shoes, and my tights were not very noticeable, but still I pulled my pants down a bit to cover them better. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I do my hair at 7:15 a.m. I used plenty of hairspray, then I took out the rollers carefully. Then I used another generous dose of hairspray. A few strokes of a brush, and then my hair became a girl's style, especially with my pink pierced earrings. I very carefully put on my baseball cap, and as I was leaving, I left a note saying I was going out for the whole morning. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I walked to the bus stop at 7:45 a.m. Our house was near the end of the block, and there was only 3 blocks before a church which would be empty since this was Friday. Then after that was another 3 blocks to the bus stop. There are not many kids who live nearby, and the people are courteous but generally keep to themselves, so I was not overly worried, particularly since I did not look like I changed much. A neighbor I barely knew saw me but was distracted by her dog. It was only 7.5 blocks, but still I was sure someone I knew would see me, but I was feeling fantastic as Penny was leaving my house and looking forward to a very exciting day. I got there and there's a lady sitting on the bench, so I stand and read the bus schedule. I had taken my girl watch, but I had it hidden in my pocket, so this was a good time to put it on. The next bus is supposed to arrive in 18 minutes. I realize in all my planning I had forgotten to look up the schedule. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I sit at the bus stop, and even if this seems too much, please have patience. At 8 a.m., I did not want to sit beside her, but it was a long time to stand, and besides that I figured a girl would probably sit beside a lady without reservation, especially with a seat between them. So I sit on the bench and wait. She was lonely and after a few minutes got bored and started talking to me. She was polite and asked me my name and how I liked school. I didn't want to lie, so I distracted her by telling her she had on a very nice dress and that my favorite class was art class. She wasn't really listening and starts telling me about her granddaughter who is my age. I was glad to be the silent one. About 10 minutes later, a car pulled up and the window rolled down. It was a man looking for directions, so I scurried to the car window mostly as a distraction from the lady. The directions were easy since the guy was only 2 blocks away from his destination. I slowly went back to the bench and the lady was distracted by a bird on the ground and started talking to it. Meanwhile, I managed to sit quietly until the bus came. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I get on the bus at 8:15 a.m. I pretend that I am polite and let her get on first, but actually I did not want her sitting beside me. Since she sat near the front and boys always sit at the back, I take a seat just in front of the middle. The bus stop is almost the end of the line and the rest of the seats are empty. I brought a small notebook to make notes so later we can chat and I can catch you up. Best friends like you and me, sweet diary, need each other for our heart-to-heart discussions. I am so excited that I may forget as new experiences fill my tiny brain. I did not have too much to say because it was an unsurprising morning as I had predicted almost everything so far. It did not take long to write the events so far, and since it was a long bus ride I had plenty of time for daydreaming. Imagine how wonderful it would be to wear a dress sitting in my seat and on my way to buy pretty lingerie. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I arrived downtown at 8:45 a.m. I then decided that I would get off the bus a few blocks from the store so I could walk and get more relaxed since I was starting to tighten up. I walk there and all of the people passing never notice. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I get to Sears at 9 a.m. As soon as I get near Sears I start to get sick, so I guess that I just have to get in and out of there quickly before I lose control. But then halfway to the store as I felt my stomach do a backward somersault and I just froze. So I walk around for a while. After all, what better way to ease a girl's butterflies than to do a girl pastime by doing a little window shopping? After 15 minutes or so I fairly calmed down and it was enough to try again. I entered Sears remembering I was in the store completely dressed as a girl. I pretend I was shopping or at least browsing. It seemed like I inched my way as if Penny was dragging me to my future. As I got to the floor below the foundations department, what they called the intimate apparel department back in the old days, I was dawdling as a delaying tactic. I dared myself because I somehow had to force myself to continue. I even made up imaginary punishments if I fail. Sooner than I would have liked I found the escalator going to the top floor. I started my habitual countdown. I used to count up, but then as I got closer to the goal I would increase the number. A countdown had an inevitable ending. 67, 66, 65, 8, 7, 6. Do you remember the old-time radio science fiction program X1? X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. I stepped on and hoped for the best. While on the way up I was thinking I was like a lamb to the slaughter. That wasn't a very feminine image, so I tried to push it out of my head. I could be the damsel in distress on a belt and the last step could be the buzzsaw. I only had a few seconds with that feminine image in my imagination as the top floor was eating the stairs. I, however, was unconsciously of a bit of feminine image in reality. I checked my pink tights in a handheld mirror before we left and I hadn't seen anything visibly peeking out while walking. However, they were much more noticeable while on the stairs, first climbing onto the bus and now going up all the escalators. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I went into the store at 9:30 a.m. As I stepped off the escalator it was like it was too late, as if I was locked by a door shut behind me. I tried to console myself it was okay to be there, although I did not believe it. A lace and silky wonderland stretched out in front of me. Hanging all together like that, they looked like one big spider web, and the aisles of wonder seemed to go on forever. The first area is nightgowns, so I go to the area across the store that looks like my target. And as I walked through the selections of lingerie, I was fascinated by the lace and pretty pastel colors. Once there, I went straight to the first row of bras. I imagine that a bra is perhaps the most feminine article of clothing, so it was probably inevitable that I would wear a bra in the next year or two, even if today went badly. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she caught me at 9:35 a.m. I noticed there was one lady near the side. And then, as clear as if a bell rang, her attention shifted to me. She was more than just interested and was staring at me the whole time, and that I wasn't leaving. I could tell she was looking me over pretty well, and I was getting nervous as she was getting closer. She thought I was a boy, which was almost admitted because I probably turned redder than a fire engine. She was also getting red, but in anger, since a boy who came by accident would be immediately trying to leave. I was immediately terrified as I was wondering what I would be saying to this girl. I had to avoid her, so I walked down different aisles as to avoid her. She knew the layout and was easily able to catch me. She had grabbed my arm and was holding it firmly as I tried to get away. I cringed and looked up to see her making an unfriendly face while asking, "Do you need me to help you find your mommy, young man?" I was too terrified to say anything and tried to avoid any eye contact. All I could think of was what it would be like to be an ostrich hiding its head to avoid detection. I knew it wasn't so, but I couldn't help it because I was too ashamed to face her. As I wriggled the corner of my eye, caught her profile. That barely a glance revealed she had a smug look, like someone happy with her catch. I could smell her wonderful perfume, which made her smell so feminine, and I was so jealous. Dear Diary, let me tell you how I tried to explain at 9:40 a.m. I opened my mouth to protest, saying it was an accident, like I had practiced so many times. How else could it be if I was in the area? She rebutted so fast, it was on purpose, that she said it almost the same time I did. As she spoke those words, she realized why she thought it was on purpose was because she had heard many stories about dares. She dragged me to the phone and picked it up. "You have come to steal," she sniped out. "I suppose you think it is all in fun. You sure are in a lot of trouble, mister." I had not planned for this, and I really got into a panic. My brain flooded so quickly with answers, but none of them made any sense. I silently reprimanded myself for not planning ahead in this situation. She got herself all worked up and started releasing her anger by intimidating me more by saying she was going to call my mother. She told me to give her my phone number and she was going to call right now. I was crying and barely could even say, "You can't." I couldn't think ahead anymore and was just going on instinct. It didn't dawn on me until later how lucky I was to have said that. That refusal just made her stubborn. "Now really mad," she said, "then the police will phone after they put me in jail." I started struggling more, but she was really strong, making me realize it was futile. I choke out, "Please no." She replies, "You should have thought of that before, little boy." I could only hope on sympathy and struggled less because she could call security even if I did get away. I pleaded my case, "Please, my dad will kill me." She replies, "I hope he does." But then immediately regrets saying it and starts thinking the threat might be punishment enough. She relaxes her grip a little, but I have already stopped wriggling. Again I begged, "My brothers will laugh at me forever." She replies more calmly, but as to give me an unforgettable jab to my ego, "You will be punished if you ever come back because this place is for girls only, so you have no business being here." There was an awkward silence for a moment, and in those few seconds I saw my own salvation. I peep out, "I don't want to be a girl," between sobs. She didn't quite understand until I made another peep. I failed at being a girl. And as she's listening, she quickly realizes what was happening and does a mental flip. Her protective attitude immediately shifted from being shocked to being motherly. It happened so fast that it even surprised her. She gets upset at herself for not recognizing a boy would be angry and swearing, but an unfortunate girl would be crying just like the unhappy girl in front of her. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she removed my hat at 9:45 a.m. My long hair was curled with a right parting and a bobby pin over my left ear that was hidden under the hat. She was experienced enough to have settled down hundreds of young girls anxious about their new beginnings. She felt so sorry for the young girl in front of her and quickly knelt down to commence hugging me in an effort to calm my nerves while cooing to me in short sentences, "Please calm down. Nothing is going to happen to you. Everything is safe here. There won't be any more yelling. I'm here to help you. Can we be friends? Please stop crying." Even her consoling affections couldn't keep the tears from my eyes, but I was slowing my crying. She turns to humor, "Pretty, please stop crying. Please, honey. Pretty, please be as happy as a bowl of rainbow ice cream made out of candy canes and pickles." And then she quickly adds, "Yuck. Not pickles." She laughs and waits hopefully for me. Then to her relief I hesitantly giggle while the strange lady I didn't even know is hugging the life out of me. She cups my tear-soaked face in her hand and brings it so I am facing her and ever so gently wipes my tears. I slowly look up and she is kneeling there and smiling. "Friends," she says, hoping I'll answer, but I just remain silent. She continues to try and win me over because now she feels so regrettably sorry for me. "What pretty earrings. Did your mother get those for you?" However, I answer so quickly, know that she realizes that is a sensitive subject and is sorry that she brought it up. She adopts to distract me by taking of my baseball cap while flattering me, "You look so pretty now." She also went on that she thought I liked a lot cuter without the cap. She says let's put this in a special place for now and puts it on a shelf. I was, however, somewhat distracted by the long pink fingernails, with tiny flowers on the pinkies, holding my cap. I open up to her and say, "Your fingernails are so gorgeous. I wish I was as beautiful as you." She smiles knowing she broke through. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she apologizes at 9:50. She tells me she remembers being a little girl even though it was almost back in the caveman days. She continued by saying how much she appreciated how hard it must have been for me to come here alone. Maybe it's just because sales ladies have a knack for making us smile, for making our day less drab. She told me thank you for the nice compliment. My friend Gloria works at the salon. She always made my nails so perfect since the customer is always right is her favorite saying. Dear Diary, let me tell you I was now in the clear at 9:55, I was in the clear. I had prepared for the cold shoulder, but instead got approval. I even began to relax now that I realized she was not going to go ballistic on me. Well, that was fairly easy. I actually feel a lot better knowing that she's okay with me being here. I falsely congratulate myself. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she asked my name at 9:56. I just realized that I don't know your name. And then a moment later she repeated my parrot says, I just realized that I don't know your name. I just realized that I don't know your name. She sure has ways to break any mental block I can build up. I have private reasons to hide that information, so I just asked, can I use a different name? I don't like mine very much. The name Penny sounds like it is almost worthless, but the name Buck sounds 100 times better. Everyone knows tomboys are born girls, so they have girl names or at least androgynous names. I technically didn't tell her my actual name, but sort of implied that it was Penny who went by Buck when she was being a tomboy. So therefore I didn't actually lie, but it was close enough that I blushed. Luckily she thought the blush was just because I didn't like the name Penny. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she asks why I came at 9:58 a.m. She says, "Now Buck honey, you are going to get my undivided attention as much as you would like, but I am going to need to know why you came here today." I automatically go into my practice spiel. A girl in my neighborhood is having a sleepover party and I would be terribly embarrassed if I showed up and they laughed and called me baby because I do not have a bra to wear. They all have bras and some of them had been wearing them for years, well at least one anyway. I continue, hardly taking a breath. I have never been invited before and maybe her mother is going to make her do it because I am sure she doesn't like me anyway. She is a girly girl and I certainly am not. I am not even close. I don't mind if people mistake me for a boy so much when I am around only boys. I don't like to stick out. But I will sure stick out if I go to the party and they call me boy. I would have to listen to their humiliating abuses at me. Connie is the ringleader of the trio, usually devising jokes at my expense so she wouldn't invite me without having to been told. You know how mean girls can be. I find it usually easier to be with boys even if I am not as strong. It would certainly be easier not to go, but then I may never become a girl. And I can't fail at being a girl, can I? This isn't what she meant, but she doesn't want to interrupt me because she sees how important this is to me. I don't even slow down until I had spilled the entire saga to her. I catch my breath and so does she. It takes her a few moments for her to even think, but meanwhile I see a lady that has a similar purse as Mother's purse. It makes me wonder what to do if Mother comes in. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she asks why I came alone at 10:05. She interrupts my thoughts by asking, "Does your mom refuse to get you a bra because she thinks you are too young?" I reply right away, no, she's never going to get me one. Then she remembers how sensitive I was on the subject of my mother earlier. Her mind goes click, she must be passed away. What an unfortunate little girl. No wonder she looks so boyish. She can't even come with her classmates. I am so sorry that I didn't understand earlier. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she chatted me up about school at 10:09 a.m. She asks me about school and what teachers I like. I don't want to tell her lies because I'm sure she could tell, so I just say that I like art, and in view of that, so I would rather not talk about it. She just sort of guessed by my silence that I didn't have any friends there at all. I am so glad that she didn't ask if I had a boyfriend because she might not have liked the fact I only like girls. In fact, I like them so much that I even like their clothes and especially want to wear girl clothes. That is too different that it would be puzzling to anyone else. What I did say sounded rehearsed to her, but she passed it off as my being nervous. It would take her a while to find out why it actually was rehearsed. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she chats me up about bras at 10:10 a.m. To change the subject again, she decides to tell me about bras because she has figured out that no one has told me a thing. A bra is not just for special occasions as far as a 9 or 10-year-old girl is concerned, she explained to me. I tell her I am actually 11 and 4 months. Then she says, "You are just in time because you'll be a woman soon." She continues, "A young lady's bra is called a training bra because it doesn't support or hold anything physically, but it is the psychological training effect that is important." I didn't tell her, but for me it was ever so much more than that. A big girl's bra is necessary to keep her mother parts from sagging while looking as attractive as possible. They come in many styles, and when you come back we can discuss them. She always used words like mother parts when talking to young girls, especially when their mothers weren't around. She made a mental note not to mention my mother again, then carried on. "Penny, don't you want to ask me any questions? Why are bras so attractive if boys can't see them? Do different colors mean different things? I queried. She knew all the answers from years of experience. We can see them and it helps us feel nice. Besides, we need to get your girlfriends jealous of your pretty lingerie. I smiled at her and she smiled back. She was someone I could relate to. It's turning out to be quite a day, and I didn't even notice until later that she called me Penny instead of Buck. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she measured me at 10:15. At this point she proceeded to take me in her hand and stand me up. She says she needs to measure me. I thought she meant over my clothes, so I say okay. Then as soon as she undoes the first button I panic. I counter, what if my brothers see me? She says, that's silly, boys can't come here or they would get cooties. This makes me ask, what are cooties? She continues, imaginary girl germs, then their friends would laugh at them. I still hesitate, what about the girls from school and the girls from the party? She pacifies, it is perfectly natural for them to be here, or any other girl including you. But if you want we can get more privacy in the change room. I follow her into the back room. And once inside she starts unbuttoning my blouse. I wasn't allowed to object or anything. I just stood there in a sort of panic, why do I have to take my shirt off? She calmly replies, we can get the best measurement with your blouse off. I rebel, why can't we do it with my shirt on? Again calmly, we need to try on your bra so we can adjust it to fit perfectly. You don't want those girls to laugh at you, do you? I make a meekly rebel reply, no but. And I cannot think of anything else. She told me to hold my hands out sideways and I complied. She took a cold measuring tape and measured me several places, then a few moments later she announced I was a 30AA. I asked her if I failed to pass. With ease she said, perfectly normal. I didn't believe it and said, it can't be normal. I'm nothing like the girls in school. She just said, every girl develops at a different rate. Some girls are faster than others. I felt like a freak myself because I was the first one in my class. It took a while to realize I was perfectly normal. Then she added, you can catch up later. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she picked one out at 10:20. I insisted on putting my shirt back on before looking at the selections, so she left ahead of me to check on other customers. I was out just there a few seconds when I saw it. I ran right over to a rack of bras in bright pink. Most girls go for the new fads of dress or the music of the day, but I love the color. Let's start you with white, she exclaimed. I looked sad. She said I would feel like boys are staring at me if I wore a fancy one. You will get used to them soon enough. For the party we can get you one that is worthy of a future movie star. I said okay hesitantly. She walked me around to the side. I saw there were many racks of different styles and colors. I knew that bras came in different styles, but I had no idea there were quite so many. We stopped at the mostly colorless Junior Bazaar rack and she picked out a white plain one. I looked disappointed until she said she had a similar one but in black and maybe next year I will have grown up enough to get one. Again I smiled and she smiled back. Now if the girls ask you if the pretty one is your first bra, then you can say you have been wearing one for a while before you bought it. She took one of them off the rack, then had me go change into them to see how they fit. Dear Diary, let me tell you how much I love my bra at 10:30 a.m. I stared at it as it left a lasting impression on me, as if that single garment acknowledged the loss of my childhood. It gratefully reminded me who I was and who I had become. It was ever so very pretty even though it was white. I wanted so bad to hold it in my hand and feel the sensation of the touch of the elastic against my fingers. I should have become embarrassed when she noticed me looking at it and admiring it too much. She handed it out to me. I thanked her and reached up and hugged her as a thank you gesture. Then I smiled to her as I reached for it. It was so clean and new, and moreover it felt fantastic to me. It was like I had gone to heaven. I was so relieved because I've wanted one for ages. I was learning to love how girls' clothes felt. I began to caress at my fingertips. I noticed she liked that. It felt amazing in my hands. It felt just so right for me. I couldn't explain it, but I knew I had to have it. My fingers closed around it and I brought it to my face. It felt and smelled exactly the same as I had imagined it. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I can guess by your reaction that you have been looking forward to this. No wonder, since it is the most momentous day in a girl's life before she gets married. After you get accustomed to wearing your bra, you'll want to wear one all the time. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she explained how to put it on at 10:35 a.m. I was so freaking scared. She giggled and said, "Here, come with me." Again, she takes me into the change room and starts undoing the top buttons. She was such a professional, I didn't hesitate to let her. One by one it is like she is pulling off my layers of fake and becoming the true me. When she is down to the last 3 buttons, she lets me take over. While I undo these last buttons, she takes the bra off the hanger and opens the back. Then she helps me out of my blouse. Then, as I am standing there what feels totally naked, she shows me new girlish things that I will have to master before I can satisfy to my new pseudo-mother that I can competently be feminine enough to survive alone. I am so happy she is taking the extra effort because my own mother would be appalled at what I am about to learn. First, she shows me the hook at the back with several eyes. She explains that putting the hooks in differently can adjust the size as needed. She adds that one or the other back straps can get twisted and then shows me on the bra. She explains that then my bra will be vulnerable to onlookers who can see that I have on a bra and then I am a novice who gets it twisted. Then she puts on a pretend bra showing me how a lady slides her bra onto over her shoulders, leans forward into it to allow her breasts to properly settle into her bra cups, then reaches behind and hooks her bra up. She does it a second time while explaining each step. Next, I have to put on a pretend bra twice until she is satisfied. She says the straps will seem to dig in for the next couple of weeks, but they don't actually, and I bet after a while they won't bother you at all. I already knew they weren't going to bother me at all even if they did dig in. Then she assists as I really put it on. I was so embarrassed that I wanted her to wait outside for me to try it on, especially when I leaned forward and allowed my non-existent breasts to find their proper spot in my bra cups. It is so dreamy that I almost faint from pure pleasure. It was definitely a much different feeling from anything I had worn before. She was right to stay because I needed a lot of help. She has to guide my hands so they find the hooks, then bring them together to find each other. She says most beginners usually clip it on backwards, then spin it around and put their hands through, but that makes it hard to tell what they are training to do. Dear Diary, let me tell you about her story. At 10:45 a.m., she tells me that when she was learning, her sister told her a trick about boys. I didn't want to hear about boys, but I was in such a heightened state after the best moment ever that I was able to pretend I was apathetic instead of disgusted. "Oh," I replied. She takes a sidebar thought. She is young and hasn't become fascinated with boys yet. However, she decides that since I am buying a bra, then I am taking my first steps. Yes, she will discover them soon enough, she answers her thoughts to herself. She does choose to leave out the section her sister told her why the hook was the boy and the eye was the girl. She says that she pretended they were lovers and she must guide their lips to kiss. She said she imagined if she kissed nicely with a boy that she liked, then he would become her real boyfriend. I practiced all weekend and then when I went to school Monday I find out that he moved away. I didn't practice after that, but by then I didn't need it. She was a good storyteller and I didn't want to upset her. You must have been sad, I said, pretending to understand. She replied, actually I was more like mad. It was partly because he never told me he was moving, but mostly because I got jealous that he told another girl. Again, I chose not to tell her that I only like girls. It's already bad enough that I like girl clothes. If she found out I like girls too and daydream about kissing them, then she might be ashamed to even have known me. I just smile while try to look sympathetic. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she adjusted at 10:50 a.m., back to business. She then showed me how to check to see if I got anything twisted and then to adjust its straps, even though to me it fit perfect. But she is an expert who still needs to adjust it even better. She then told me to be careful and not to ever adjust it while boys are looking. Next she had me take it off and put it on 5 more times. My arms were not used to going all the way behind my back, so I had some trouble on all but the last one. She said I will be used to it like other girls in no time. She must have been a good teacher because I still put my bra on the exact same way today. I was so exhausted that I just slid down on the floor and then started crying again. She sympathetically asked, "What is wrong, honey?" I sobbed back, "I didn't think anything could be this dream come true perfect. You are such a wonderful person, which makes me so ashamed that I wasn't nicer to you." She responded, "You are such a pretty girl when you don't cry. It is silly to be upset about something such a long time ago." She was bubbling with excitement as she pulled me up. "You need to see for yourself the pretty girl in this mirror." She said, "There, see how much you look like a grown-up girl now." And a moment later I was staring at this vaguely familiar little girl with tears streaming down her cheeks. I was totally drifting into a trance. I was really way out of my mind with pleasure now, and that's the way it should be. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she brought in the panties at 11 a.m. She gets me the matching panties and I ask if I can put them on alone. I say I am not used to ladies or anyone seeing me in just panties. She then handed me a pair of matching panties and told me to put them on. She then went out of the room and knocked before bringing more. I already had my tights back on and was doing up my jeans zipper. So I welcome her. "It was very nice of you to go to all this trouble, especially since these ones fit very nice." She humbly replied, "Not at all." Her answer confirmed that she was definitely making sure to be as professional as possible. I started putting my shirt back on and she said it wasn't necessary here. I somehow got the perfect thought and said it was too cold with just a bra. She giggled, "Okay, Penny, I know how you feel." She meant that she realizes that I am way too shy to just wear a bra even in her sanctuary. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she had me walk around the store at 11:10. I peeked out of the change room door, saw it was clear and dashed for the triple-sided mirror. I was about to head back to take it off when the lady suggested that I try wearing it around the store where there are no boys. I would agree as long as no one could see it under my shirt. I say, I would die of embarrassment if my brothers caught me in a bra. She replies, "In our community there are no boys." I imagined it might be filling a blouse out and feeling so wonderful around my shoulders and back. It had been only 3 minutes and I was already addicted to bras. She consulted with me and despite my objections decided that I'd love to wear it home. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she rung it up and now I own it at 11:25 a.m. I had taken 5 times the money so I could buy several, but again they were more costly than I guessed. My eyes got so huge that I wanted everything. However, I did not bring enough money for everything I wanted as I was expecting to just buy a few and leave. I pretended that I knew what I was doing and propped my wallet on the counter. Seconds later my heart is screaming, I own my own bra. I actually own my own bra. From that point on I had to accept I am more girl than boy. I was a grown-up girl for all intents and purposes. Let me tell you how she offered lunch at 11:30 a.m. She said I won't need to wrap it because of course you are going to wear it home. I said that I didn't think that was a good idea. She said that if I wore it around the store until noon then she would take me for lunch. Then after lunch I can decide to wear it home or not. I don't know who was more excited about the dressing up, the lady or me, but we sure had a wonderful time. And now she invited me to be a girl while we went for lunch while she helped me get used to my new life. It was spontaneously generous of her, so I thanked her. I actually meant I thanked her for making me into a girl, but I didn't want to embarrass her, so this way I let her pretend the thank you was for lunch. Let me tell you how I shopped until lunch at 11:35 a.m. She said, let's look for your party bra, and is there anything else you would like to look at today? After about a quarter hour, I had tried on and bought a lacy pink padded bra for the party and 2 pair of tights to return to Brenda. It was a day of girly shopping and I loved every second of it, especially since I spent most of it wearing my own bra. It seemed I handled everything in the junior bazaar section of the store and now have a few sets to relish in. I would have bought them all, but then my parents would ask me where all my money went. There were a few moments before lunch, so I had a chance to get caught up with my diary while waiting. She saw me writing and meant to ask why, but there was never the right moment because she did not want to disturb my focus. Dear Diary, let me tell you how we went for lunch at 12 o'clock noon. We go to the Sears restaurant on the 2nd floor. She had to hold my hand on the escalator because I was so nervous. I was not near as embarrassed as I would have been without her. I did look good and should be proud of my bravery to go out dressed as I was. Once past the embarrassment, I can remember that I was not prepared for the thrill of wearing such feminine of girls' clothes. In a short time we were seated and ordered salads. I felt more grown up having a salad instead of the burger that Penny's roommate would have liked. She saw that I followed her lead with the salad and figured that I would have never ordered one for myself, so she added a plate of fries that we could share. She started the conversation with, I hope you enjoy yourself at the party. I replied, I will for sure now, thanks ever so much. It was really nice to have her support on the loveliest and most adventurous day of my life. Penny and I were going to have to spend more days like this. I really didn't want her to take the back seat, so I decided that the plan now would be that I will stay wearing my bra. Penny is going to take the bus back and walk through my neighborhood until she gets into our bedroom. Dear Diary, let me tell you how she gives me advice at 12:05 p.m. I'm sort of nervous, so I start talking. A few of my classmates have started to wear bras in our last year, but my chest is still totally flat. I continue, I was picked on at home before, but now it will be so much worse. I am not really a crybaby, but even my younger brother gets to boss me. I carry on saying, my bratty brothers are going to grab the back of my brand new bra and snap it. They will get such a thrill to bug me, so they will keep doing it. She says, a bra is so grown up, and now maybe they will treat you better. I say, I'm just the runt brother. I was starting to get upset, so she asked, they should treat you better because you are a real girl now. You just have to force them to think of you as a girl by wearing your bra every day. I say, I suppose you are right. Then I say, I wish I could act more girly and not have anyone notice so they won't tease me. But it would be nice to have a friend instead of brothers. They can insult me until I curl up and die, but I still love them. She says, boys just don't know how to act properly around girls. I was also picked on a little, but I still went on. I ask, does this happen to everybody? She replies, every one of the girls she knows got teased. I did feel better, but not entirely. I have to go ahead. I can't go back. I have nothing to go back to. I want to be like my big brothers, but I want to be me too. I have to make my own way or stop trying. Our food comes and she says, "Good for you, honey." It is still okay to be a tomboy now and then, but don't worry if you get too busy. Being a woman takes a lot of time. I simply reply, "I'll take your word for it," as I eat all the fries without realizing it. I reply, "I didn't have time then to indulge in my emerging girlhood or womanhood actually." She says, "You know I don't think you can help loving to do this." Who thought that this would be so much fun for a boy? I excused myself to go use the washroom and she said it was near the door. When the men's room the last I remember was 12:20, I excused myself to go use the washroom and she said it was near the door. It just took a second to find it and I went in not realizing that I absent-mindedly went into the men's room. She saw I went into the wrong washroom and that I didn't come out. Did she intend to use that room? Initially, she was very surprised, and it was over a half-minute to guess why I might do this. She was embarrassed that she was so gullible that she was tricked like a fool. But by the time she walked the short distance to the washroom door to confront me, she had thought up a mischievous plan for revenge. It was going to be devastating for a boy but delightful if I was the girl that I was pretending to be. She slowly opened the men's room door, ready to close it at any hint of being occupied. She saw my shoes under the stall and that there was no one else in the room. A lady's high-heel shoes appeared in front of my stall a few seconds later and I wondered who it could be. Then my insides turned to jelly as I realized who it was and that she was here because I was in the men's room. How could I be so stupid? I was instantly embarrassed and scared that I had been found out. As you can imagine, I had a sudden sensation of depression. I didn't know what to do next, so I just said, "I can explain." But I just couldn't get any words out. I was petrified because I have been discovered and I knew it was too late to talk my way out of this situation. She knocked gently and waited a few seconds before softly saying, "Penny, I need you to come out so I can take you to the ladies' room." Don't be nervous, child. Why was she being nice to me? Did she think a girl wouldn't notice the urinals? How could she not be mad? A boy dishonored her dignity and soiled the clean pureness of her private sanctuary. Her tone made me doubt my own words and think there was a small possibility she is so trusting that she still thinks I am an innocent girl. I paused and figured no matter what, I had to do as she asked or she could call security. Sure, I was in the men's room, but I was wearing a bra and panties. They would for sure call home. I had to submit now because it couldn't be as bad as calling home. Little did I know just how life-changing it was going to be. I stood up and wiped, then flushed. A few seconds later I was zipped and came out. She looked shocked as I stood in front of her and my thoughts began to tighten. I just hung my head in shame even though it was not intentional. It happened totally by accident. I did not expect that buying a bra would take longer than 10 minutes, so I never made a plan up for using the washroom. I was really annoyed with myself for not thinking ahead about this strictly routine action. After she regained her composure, she took my arm really hard and I got nervous thinking she was going to spank me. She drags me outside and I imagine everyone was now looking at me. She didn't say anything, so no one even noticed a lady and child coming out of the wrong washroom. She was silent, but her look made me feel that she was thinking, "Shame on you." I am very disturbed about this betrayal. I have taken all the bullying from you that I am going to take. What a dirty trick you pulled. Shame on you. You are the most horrible person who walked on two legs playing this wicked game on me. To the ladies' room, she starts dragging me into the ladies' washroom and I say, "But now I don't need to go because I have finished." She retaliates by saying pretty girls wash their hands. Besides, I need to check your bra. It sure is a good thing I am here. Just think of the mess you would be in if I left this up to your mother. I wondered if she really meant to say that or she just blurted it out. She immediately pulled off my shirt. Then she looked me over, but didn't say anything for at least a minute. I stood there like a prize turkey just before Thanksgiving. Then she gave a smile that wasn't quite right, and it shivered me more than being without my shirt. I watched as she opened her purse and took out a lipstick. She slowly twisted the bottom as to prolong the distress, since I just knew she would put it on me. The lipstick was way too red for any child to wear, but she had a look in her eye that I could not shake. Then she commanded, "Pout." I did nothing and she held up the lipstick higher. "Penny, look at me and pout like you are going to kiss your boyfriend." I reminded her that I do not like boys, but that just seemed to irritate her. "Pout. Or I'll bring in a boy so I can see for myself." I reluctantly followed her orders, and soon she had that sneering smile again. I cringed to look into the mirror, but I had to see the damage. Now I was wearing lipstick that did a lot more than emphasize my lips. It was as if I was advertising that I wanted to be noticed like some desperate girl. She took out the matching nail polish and did my baby finger. She handed me the bottle and told me to do the rest, and she will be back in a few minutes. I asked her for my shirt. She just said when I am done my nails to do my toenails. There isn't much I can say standing in the ladies' room wearing lipstick and a bra without any shirt. Even if I took the bra off, lipstick and no shirt would be noticed by everyone. When she came back, I was very relieved. No one had come in, but I sure didn't know how long my luck would hold. I was curious why she didn't inspect my work and just placed a small box on the counter. My buddies, she took out a small bag of brown jelly and held it under hot water for a quarter minute, then she put it back in the box and did a second one. Not satisfied, she did this a second time. Then she lifted up my bra so it was high on my chest and turned back to the box. She opened a tiny box then and pulled out a bottle, then dabbed 24 drops on one jelly bag then the other. She carefully lifts one to my breast and pulls that side of my bra over it so it was held in place, then she does the second side. She says we have to wait 30 seconds before I blend it. I am not sure what she means, but I see 2 small bumps that look like girls' breasts under my bra. She says these are your breast buddies. Girls wear these while their budding breasts are emerging. Before I can think of anything to say, she adds, "Now you sure look sweet." A whole minute later, she then completely takes off my bra and the buddies are fastened to my chest. I am about to touch one and she swats and says, "Not now." Then she takes the tube again and squeezes out a tiny layer above then below each buddy. There they should be good for an hour or more now without falling off. I saw that the tube said nail glue, but I didn't say anything. She has me wait for 2 minutes standing there with these things on my chest, and all I could think about was someone coming in and seeing me. She teased me, "What will girls at your school think if they could see you now?" Then she had me put on my bra 3 times before giving me my shirt. We had practiced putting on a bra when I have imaginary breasts. I had to pretend letting my breasts fall into place before doing it up. Now I had my own breasts, but mine were small, so they really didn't fall into the cups. I felt like a real girl as they did hold the bra in place while I did up the back. The bra even stayed in place and didn't ride up when I lifted my arms. It had annoyed me before when I had to pull it back down after riding up, but I just figured girls just have to get used to that up until they grow their breasts. I told her, "These things are amazing and they will hold up for an hour?" She replied, "They are not things, they are a part of girl Penny, a part of you. Now repeat after me, my breasts are amazing." I love having breasts. I love looking like a mature girl. I wish my breasts were bigger. I repeated it and thanked her. Then she said, "You are going to look like a grown-up girl for at least an hour. Can I go home now?" Then I had a sudden anticipation of what would happen when I got home wearing lipstick and fingernail polish. "Thank you very much," I declared, "but I have to take it all off so I can go home now, or I will be the ridicule of my brothers for a month." "Oh dear," she falsely said, "of course you are right." Then she added, "Would you object if I got help? I really have to get back to the shop now. A friend of mine works at the beauty salon and I will get her to squeeze you in as a favor to me. My boss will be terribly upset if I don't return promptly after lunch, especially since I gave you that complimentary boob job. You don't mind, do you, if she takes off your pretty makeup?" All I could answer was, "I guess not." She didn't wait for my answer and took me by the hand like a little kid into the Sears beauty parlor. Along the way she shared her secrets: stand up straight, take smaller steps, and just let my hips slip naturally back and forth. We walked in and she was acknowledged with a nod by the lady stylist that was working on a woman customer. She told me to go read some comics and Gloria will be right with you. I had red lipstick and nail polish standing in a beauty salon wearing a padded bra, so I was glad to sort of hide in the corner behind some comic books. She stood by the front counter while her friend cashed out the woman, then greeted her. I heard them talking, but could not make out what they were saying at first. Then they came closer and I heard her say, "The dear is having a really hard day, buying a bra for the first time today just to go to a party with girls. You remember what it was like at that age trying to impress the popular girls?" The stylist replied, "The makeup is a bit much." I started turning red upon hearing that. It wasn't my fault that she made me wear it to parade my boldness throughout the store. I did not know if she meant it as punishment, but I felt it was on purpose. I was hoping she did it to boost Penny's confidence of having people stare at her. "5 cleaning me up," she said. "We were hoping you could fix that. I'll pay for it, of course." "Of course not," Gloria answered. "I will have time to pierce her ears and pluck her eyebrows. Later I will have time to dye her hair blonde with long pink hair extensions like all the girls love." Gloria then added, "My treat, of course." She said, "That is way over the top. Imagine going home blonde with pink extensions. I think Sweetie would rather keep it simple." I was glad when Gloria said, "The customer is always right." I was too far gone already and needed to neutralize myself. I needed the makeup and nail polish off. I needed the padding to come off and to take off my bra. I needed to return Brenda's shoes and new tights and put on my own clothes. I needed to become a boy before my parents found out about my adventure. Sure, it fascinated me, but there would be no way I could even explain the blonde hair without the pink extensions. Besides, girls at our school just don't have pink extensions or even pink highlights. I sure didn't want anyone at school to notice me, especially boys. She came over and stood beside me. I looked up from the comic and she patted me on the head saying, "I'll run along now. Gloria will take extra special care of you." For some reason I started to regret it now that I was going to have to give up my new makeup. I knew it had to be done and soon, but it did make me feel more like a girl. Goodbye, Gloria. Goodbye forever, Buck. The stylist then said goodbye, Charlotte, then introduced herself as Gloria before asking me, "Who's Buck?" I was going to say me, but instead I said she was just making a joke. Gloria looked puzzled but didn't inquire further. She ushered me into a pink smock before removing my shirt. Then she insisted on my pants also. It just didn't make sense. I would have never guessed that patrons were required to take off their clothes in a beauty salon. I hesitated and she says I can leave if I don't have time to comply. I really wanted to leave, but I was anchored in place by the lipstick. I have to justify it so it doesn't seem so bad. My pink tights do not look that out of place with this pink smock. I have on too much makeup and a padded bra and pink tights under a pink smock while sitting in a beauty salon chair. A shiver goes up my back even though the chair is still warm from the last customer. I think, at least she would never guess a boy would ever allow himself to be this girlish. She goes to make a phone call. While she is doing that, I distract my mind from the fact I am way too far to be able to explain myself. I force myself to think that up until now I never knew the saleslady was named Charlotte. 6 changing earrings. She poked my ear and asked me how I glued them on. I couldn't pretend that I didn't know what she meant, so I just said with clear nail polish. She replied, clever, but you are too pretty for that. I thanked her and secretly thanked my luck that she thinks I am a girl. She rubbed my ears with nail polish remover solution, saying, pulling them off will rip open your skin. It would look even worse because your earrings are not at the same level, but I am here to fix that. I hadn't thought of that but said nothing while she massaged the solution onto my lobes. A minute or so later one came off and then the other. She cleaned them with alcohol rubs, then poked each side with a pencil and said, done, let's have a look at you. She cupped my chin in her hands and inspected my ears more closely before saying they look fine now. Just then there was a phone call and Gloria goes to answer. That is pretty drastic. Are you sure? And in a moment, okay. The customer is always right. She comes back and says, lucky girl, without explaining anything. She pokes each ear twice again with the pencil. She put a tool over each ear and said, inspection time. She looked closely at each ear, then bang. It happened before I was aware of it, and a single stinging jab seemed to inflame both my ears at the same time. In a second my brain caught up and I cried out, causing her to apologize. I'm sorry. Did that hurt? I protested that I didn't want pierced ears, and she said, but you look so pretty. I was horrified how I could explain this even though I was overjoyed that it was done. Then I said I don't want to look pretty. She said okay, the customer is always right. She took out the earrings. She put the gun instruments back on my ears, then again she said, inspection time. She looked closely at each ear again, then bang. I cried instantly, complaining that really hurts. I say I can't go home with pierced ears because my mother would kill me. She took out the earrings again and rubbed solution on them. It was hard to tell her emotions, but they seemed to say that I really didn't have any say in it. But they also seemed like she did want to help me when she said, if you are a good girl then I will do my magic so your mother won't be able to see your new earrings. Then she added again, but then you have to be a good girl. Okay? I didn't have any choice because now I really needed her help hiding the earring holes, plus she still hadn't taken off my makeup. I reluctantly said I would be good, but I do not want to look so feminine. She repeated her little the customer is always right speech. 7 plucked eyebrows, then she took out tweezers and started plucking my eyebrows. I said, please don't, it hurts and my mother will notice if I look different. She said, ridiculous, you won't look different, you'll just look prettier. Besides, you don't have a choice unless you want to leave now. I pleaded, no thanks. I really do appreciate all you are doing for me, but I really do not want plucked eyebrows. I just can't go home like that. She said she was such an expert that my mother will think it is perfectly natural for me to have pretty eyebrows like all the other girls. I really wanted to trust her, but I just couldn't guarantee that mother wouldn't notice. It was basically done now, and all I could do was hope she would be able to nullify, or at least camouflage the changes. The slightest hint of anything different would cause a landslide of disaster. The swelling in your ears is down, so I need to do a final inspection. Of course, I never suspected what she was doing, even though she did it twice before. However, the memory of how much it hurt before made me cringe. Bang! I was embarrassed that I couldn't keep myself from squealing in pain. She was starting to get upset with me and said, "Don't be such a baby." Then she took the earrings that she used to first pierce my ear, showed them to me and said, "They are so pretty, you should be happy," as she put them into my ears. Then she took a pair of gold hoops and showed them to me before she put them in and wiggled them to show me how they move. "Eat permanent?" Almost sinisterly she smiled and said, "Now you will permanently be a girl, a pretty girl with pink earrings." I shook my head no, but the dangling hoops jiggled yes, which helped emphasize her words of my doom. "Now you will permanently be a girl." I wasn't sure how they could dangle because I didn't see her take out the studs. However, my mind sure wasn't on that little mystery. I was too miserable and wouldn't stop crying. That word permanent was like an unbelievable catastrophe. Even now, I can't be sure if the tears came from having tiny hairs pulled from my eyebrows and holes punched through my ears, or if I was beginning to understand this was a permanent commitment to a new feminine persona. You are so pretty now. Being watched and admired will become like a routine to you. So many boys will follow you around and chat you up that you will have a boyfriend in no time. You will get to do the mature things that older girls get to do. Exasperated, I said that I don't like boys. She said that will change in a week or two. I shook my head and was reminded again of my permanent situation. I was so frustrated that I practically screamed, "I will never like boys," and burst out crying again. 9 Charlotte returns. Charlotte came in and quickly said, "Sweetie, are you still in there? Did I interrupt you?" Then she held up the hat that she had put on her shelf and added, "I am glad I caught up to you, sweetie. Is Gloria making you pretty? Here is the hat you forgot." Then she saw me along with how hard I was crying and then secretly smiled. Pretending concerned, she said, "Did something happen to upset my little pet? What is wrong, pretty one?" Then she touches my ear and asked in a very timid voice, What's going on here? Why did you ask Gloria to pierce your ears?" I just couldn't understand why she was blaming this on me. I just was too embarrassed to say anything, so she spoke. "I thought you didn't want to be noticed." Wow, triple piercing is really brave of you, and even girls are rarely that brave. You know, they may diminish some, but mostly they are permanent. If that's what you want, okay, but if you're trying to be discreet, you have to watch what you ask for. I never caught the words, but later as I was going the whole day over in my mind, I realized that she said, "even girls," which I now take to mean actual girls and not pretending boys, so it was like the whole thing was planned. I should have felt angry or betrayed, but I loved the way I looked and felt guilty that I liked it. I asked Charlotte why she was turning me into a girl. That confirmed her suspicions, but she didn't let on. She said that she told Gloria not to do it. You remember hearing me say that, don't you? You wouldn't think I'd do anything to harm an innocent girl, would you? You don't think I would give you away, do you? Then before I had a chance to say anything, Gloria rebutted. You said not to do the blonde and pink extensions. You said go ahead for the rest of the makeover. You should have been more specific, and anyway, girls like that stuff. I was not sure if this was on purpose or not, or if it was Charlotte or Gloria's idea. 10 Are you a boy? I was unbelievably disheartened when Gloria attacked me with the mortifying question, "Are you a girl?" I wasn't even able to move my head. "Are you a boy?" she continued while depressing me even more. A real girl likes to be noticed for her beauty. How could I argue with that? I can't even argue with, if you didn't want to be pretty then, Why did you even come into a beauty parlor? Then Charlotte set her straight. Girly girls like that stuff, and Sweetie isn't a girly yet. This is Sweetie's first day even wearing a bra. She tuned to me and said, I bet you don't even own a dress that isn't borrowed. I shook my head no. Gloria digs in like a dog at a bone. What about that makeup? It is redder than cheerleaders and prom queens. Shy girls just don't wear glorious red lipstick. And she has a vicious bite. Are you sure you're not a boy? If you claim not to be this girly girl, then who are you? A girly boy? The truth always hurts the most. Charlotte countered Gloria in spurts. That was my bad idea. We were just playing a little game. I am so sorry I confused you. It was entirely my fault. Then she added, it is very traumatic being a boy one day and a girl the next. Look at the poor dear. Then Charlotte turned to me and politely asked, how can we make it up to you? I looked at Gloria with the saddest eyes I could muster. Gloria said she could hide my earrings. Charlotte looked right at me and said, done. Then she glared at Gloria in a fight's over and you lost sort of way and said, I need you to fix this right away. She knew she was beaten and Gloria apologetically said, my boss's mother will be here in less than 5 minutes, but she will be done in about an hour. I will put off all the other appointments until Pretty Penny is satisfied. Then the statement that I was beginning to hate, the customer is always right. Charlotte tells me to wait outside and she will take me for an ice cream in a minute because it will make me feel better. I felt relieved, but I still couldn't be sure if they knew and this was on purpose. I needed to believe that they were going to do the right thing and fix my earrings. I just had to trust her. I was becoming a wreck and I needed to relax enough to enjoy the best or worst day of my life while I still had a chance. 11 The photos along the way we pass a coin-operated photo booth. She stops and starts digging in her purse. I don't realize it is for me until she says, climb inside sweetie, you will need a souvenir of this day. I tell her no, thanks. I really wanted to see myself with real pierced earrings, especially before I had to get my makeup removed. And if I could hide them, there would be no harm in keeping them. This started to fascinate me, thinking I could even control my femininity. Then Charlotte found it a lot easier to convince me. She says, of course you do. You have had the most glorious day of your life and we need to remember it properly. I don't look very happy. She says, Gloria is going to turn you back into a boy, so we need a before and after shot. I still don't look happy. Then she adds, if you don't stay a girl, it may be a long time before you come back and visit me. She says, you know, the Cinderella story is something like this. She wore the most beautiful clothes that she never wore before. She had the most glorious day of her life. And in 1 hour it is going to be over, as she is ushering me inside. There is a girl in the mirror inside. She has bright red lipstick, triple pierced ears, and red polished fingernails. 2 minutes later we had 4 photographs of her. Charlotte kept 2 and gave me 2 as well. Then Charlotte gets excited and says Cinderella needs a dress for her next photograph while dragging me back into Sears. I can only imagine I am going to be wearing a dress in the next photo. I really want to wear the dress and even the photo, but I totally want to hide my earrings and bright lipstick. Actually, she gets me a dress, garter belt, nylons, and a new pair of pumps with 1-inch kitten heels. She has me wear them to the counter, and while she is purchasing them she picks up a small white purse. Once outside she says if I don't want to wear it to school then we can return them later. I think what a lovely dream, what a horrible nightmare. Then she adds, we have to hurry to get your photograph before we go back to the beauty salon. Gloria will be finished soon. I really don't want to leave, and she says, you need to practice walking like a girl. I try and think if she knows, but then she continues, they sure are not expecting to see a pretty girl in such a beautiful dress. No one is sure going to recognize you. I let her flatter me into going for another set of 4 photographs. Then she wants an additional set for herself. I started to wonder how late it was getting and asked how soon we could go back to Gloria. She said as soon as we get a 3rd set of photographs for Gloria. I didn't have a lot of choice, so I tried to look sweet enough that Charlotte would be satisfied and we could go. 12 back at the salon, I asked Charlotte, can I take this dress off before we go to the salon? It is so pretty and I don't want to get it mussed. She answers, but sweetie, Gloria will want to see your pretty dress also. I say, but I need to get going home soon. I looked disappointed when she suggested that nothing was keeping me if I had to go home now. She instantly says if I am good and want to wear my dress home then she will drive me. I figure that will save me an hour or so, plus then I won't have to take all my packages on the bus, and with my new dress and everything I have a lot of packages. This relaxes me enough to be led into the beauty parlor wearing my dress. Besides, it will be fun going home in a dress. Gloria says, if your hair was long enough then no one would notice your earrings. That made sense to me, but she couldn't be thinking about a wig. That would be too girly and could easily come off. Curiously I ask, how's that? With hair extensions, not much but just enough to cover your earrings, your hair will barely look longer so no one will even notice. I unconfidently ask, are you sure about that? She simply replies, of course, I am a professional, the customer is always right. I echo her saying as she says it. She brings up a cart with a whole tray of loose hair as I sit on her stylist chair. She starts gluing it on and I say the hair is too long. She assures me that it is better to get it too long to make it easier to trim to the perfect size. I trust her too much and she finds it easy to manipulate me. She is very methodical and I am patient as she does her magic. An hour later I have a beautiful wealth of hair way past covering my hoop earrings. She told me the length would be there for the rest of the summer if I took care of it. Then she starts to curl them up in rollers. I ask why and she says, it is easier to increase the length if I cut them too short. I like getting my hair curled in a beauty parlor wearing a dress, so I am a bit reluctant to complain anymore. I even get to sit under a beauty parlor hood dryer for 15 minutes of absolute dreamland. Then back in her chair she undoes all my rollers, bringing me back into reality. She trims my hair just a bit and it is still way too long. I patiently wait for her to trim it more, but she just goes ahead to prove she wants to punish me for not being a girl. 13 stuck again, and sure she knew even though nothing was ever said, because in an instant she trims my bangs, girl style, with soft curled fringes just above my brows. This was permanent. I couldn't grow my hair back for 6 months. I have to be a girl for 6 months. I blurt out, that's not what I wanted. That's a girl's hairstyle. She just pacifies, no one is even going to notice. I plead, please, I can't go home like this. She pretends to be concerned that I look ever so pretty and says, this is a very popular hairstyle and your mother is going to love it. I am so upset that I forget that I was pretending and say, she's going to hate it. I look like a girl, I look exactly like a girl with a girl's hairstyle. She's going to hate me for pretending to be a girl. Then the dreaded, the customer is always right. But sweetie, you look so nice. I just say please. She says, of course anything for you, but we have to close in a few minutes. It is store policy and I can't do anything about that, but I can fix up your hair if you want. I say yes please. Then she drops the bombshell, I won't have time to fix both your extravagant makeup and your cute hair. That takes a few seconds to sink in. I reluctantly have to say, "The makeup, please." She replies with "Good girl," and I figure I might be able to mess up my hair later so it won't be so noticeable. My brain just stops while she is working on me. This is even better than I hoped. Now I can be a boy when I want and a girl when I want. I tried to fight it before, but now I have to admit I like turning into a girl. Well, at least for the next 20 minutes until I get home and be me before Mother finds out about Penny's new dress. I was getting a little panicky because I starting to wonder how late it was getting since they were closing. Before I had a chance to ask, Charlotte comes in and says all my presents are packed up in her car. But Gloria did such a good job. You look almost exactly as you did this morning. Of course you are going to grow your gorgeous hair as long as possible, aren't you, sweetie? Then we can try the latest new hairstyles? I reluctantly agreed, if you say so. Charlotte ushers me out so quickly that I don't see that Gloria has replaced my makeup with a much milder but still noticeable version. Then on the way home she explains why I will be wearing my bra to school for the next few weeks.